Welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword is here. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever it is that you're enjoying this video, and I hope you do enjoy it. I have something entirely new and brand new brand for me. Brand new brand. Vosteed. Okay. And Vosteed Knife Company reached out to me and asked if I would like to do a review on this model. They have some kitchen knives out that I've seen. I'm not sure if they have any other models. They may, and I'll be giving you links and all that information before we're done today. But this is called the Nightshade. And it's copied after, it emulates something called a Shinlin cutter. And I'll put that info in the notes as well. Apparently it's a very common knife in China, used for food prep and everyday chores, with that interesting bend to the blade. And we're going to get back into that in a minute, but I want to do a quick departure here and just show you the presentation is very nice. This aluminum, as in metal, box is what the knife came in, and then there was this slip cover over it. Here's the info for you. Okay. Very nice presentation, almost like a watch box. And you open up that box, and inside you have the pouch. And they have a support card with info on it. And this nice fabric zippered pouch. So I thought the presentation was simply very much over the top, especially for a knife that's going for about $69. And these are available directly from Vosteed as well as from Amazon. So I'll leave you the links to all of that at the end of this video as well. Okay, so it emulates a knife called the Shinlin cutter, and the design here is by Dr. EDC, okay, better known as Y-U-E, or maybe actually he's better known as Dr. EDC. And this is his design carried out by Vosteed. Now, he was visiting his aunt in Taipei, Taiwan, quite a while ago, back when he saw his aunt preparing food with the Shinlin cutter. And he was very impressed by how easily she moved through the food prep with that knife. And he later learned that for elder generations in Taiwan, the Shinlin cutter is a multi-purpose, work-oriented knife that has a history dating back more than 100 years and has its roots in Guangdong. And I'm reading from notes that were given to me by Vosteed here. As more and more inexpensive knives hit the market, new generations are now becoming less and less interested in the Shinlin cutter. And Yu had become a full-time knife maker about 10 years after visiting his aunt and learning about this knife. And here you go. So, you know, the rest is history. Let's talk about some of the specifics of this particular version of the Shinlin cutter, the Nightshade. We have some excellent useful jimping on the top. We have a beautiful crowned spine. Look at that. And overall the knife is very interesting with that getting into almost a horseshoe shape, that bowed shape of the entire knife. Quite comfortable to hold. It's only about a 3 1/4 inch blade, but we'll get measurements in a moment. Here's some of the billboarding here. Vosteed Nightshade, and it is from 154 cm, so we're seeing more and more makers now go to 154 cm in the budget line, and I think that is great. I remember when that was the mainstay steel of companies like Benchmade long ago, back in the 80s, 154 cm in their better stuff. So is it still a good steel? Absolutely. Easy to sharpen, holds an edge, And look at that weight relieving on the inside of those liners. It's going to be a pretty light knife. Wide open construction, 2 barrel spacers, and runs on bearings. This thing is drop shut right out of the box. So if you're concerned about the action, it is excellent. I'm going to see if I can give us a little more room here. Flipper only. Nice detent. Can't feel it. Nicely tuned. Yes, absolutely. That breaks perfectly. And look at the blade to handle ratio and perfectly centered blade. Lots of quality at this level. Deep carry clip. Not transferable to the left side, unfortunately. Flathead screws, and it's probably not transferable because it is milled into the handle slabs on the right side of the knife. Just about perfectly deep carry, tiny bit, if anything, showing out of the pocket. Lanyard hole. This one is in a really nice black G10. Nice grain there to the G10. It is simply sculpted in that it is chamfered around the edge and slightly rounded. It's a very comfortable knife to hold. And I have even a little bit left over in my medium-large hands. Having referred to the size and whatnot, let's get some measurements. If I can find the old tape measure here. Going from the tip to the tail, 7.5 inches. And a little over 3.25, we're going to call that like a 3.3 inch blade with closer to 3 1/8 cutting edge, because we do have that sharpening choil there, definitely not a finger choil. And I moved everything around the other day. Had a serviceman in here, that is a utility serviceman. Blade stock in millimeters, let's get this right, 2.8. And if we switch that to inches, that comes out to 0.11. The handle at the widest point, 0.53, really doesn't feel even that wide. And the weight, it's going to be a light knife, I feel. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, 5.5 ounces, call that 5.6. Very nice. Let's take another look at this really interesting Shinlin cutter style blade. It's a leaf-shaped blade. Again, it is on the small side of medium, being a roughly 3.25 inch blade. It's not a tiny knife. It's a good usable size. They could have made it larger, and if they did, you might have something like that. The Fairchild from Bestech recognized the blade shape. Well, what do you know? I knew I recognized the blade shape when I did the review on the Fairchild, and it was the Shinlin cutter style blade that appeared in the movie Enter the Dragon, when the young girl slashed the face of the villain that was later defeated and killed by Bruce Lee in the big fight scene. So the Fairchild, Shinlin cutter, I think we could say. Hey, Combo? You think Combo maybe took his lead from the Shinlin cutter? Very much, perhaps. Now, I recognize the work on this blade, and was wondering if it was made by a company such as Trevisa. I see a lot of similarities here. If we close this up for the time being, in the clip, I see a lot of similarities in the way the liners are set up. This is the Trevisa. Oh, and I'll get you the name in a second. All right, this is the Trevisa Lynx, just for reference. Very similar workmanship. Very similar G10. Very similar liners. Very similar weight relieving. I'm just wondering, same OEM? What do you think? And I do like the Trevisa line. Whole different blade profile, yes. Whole different handle, whole different everything. But I think we're seeing just a little more prominent belt satin on the Trevisa. But you know, you do have to wonder. There's not dozens and dozens of different companies in China making these. There maybe are just a few, handful. Getting back to some of the particulars of the Nightshade, a very well relieved liner, no problems disengaging that. You know, it's not going to be a combat knife or anything. I mean, certainly could use a knife for anything in a pinch, but it's going to lock up solidly, and it does lock up very tight. No blade play, no lock rock, not at all. But nice access to the liner is what you want, to be able to open and close that knife that easily. Now, can you shake it? No. It's got a very, it's a very definite detent. By no means, it just breaks beautifully. By no means is it too tight or too loose. It gives you no trouble flipping that blade. You could also even push button it without any problem. So comparing to some of the standard fare, if we bring out the Griptilian, let's see what we got. So the Griptilian is, yes, definitely going to be, I'd say, an inch longer overall, with a blade about half an inch longer. And out of its class size-wise, here we have the Rat 1 from Ontario. Probably a good, coming up on 2 inches longer overall, with a blade about a half inch, 3/4 of an inch longer. So not even worth comparison there. Bringing out the Trevisa again, that is considerably longer by like an inch and a half overall. Good company. The Trevisa is putting out some like Damascus now, and they're putting out fancy handle materials, carbon fiber. They're working in M390. So 154 cm at $69. Crown spine, beautiful workmanship, really excellent jimping. Got a jimped out liner release. Nice deep carry, if only on the right side. Just a useful knife. If you can accept the blade shape, almost looks like a Nessmuk Skinner. So they have that in common. And if you look the world over at knife designs, you do see some repeats. It's kind of like the blowgun. I think someone did some research on that years and years ago, that I think a blowgun turned up in, I don't know, North America maybe, and it showed up in the Amazon, or it showed up in Asia, and then it showed up, you know, and there was no connection of the continents. So you have to think about the idea of independent invention and the tools that somebody needed in those time periods, versus whether or not those tools were migrated and were established in one place and were picked up by a tribe somewhere else. So interesting stuff to think about. But this is the Vosteed Nightshade. Thank you very much, Vosteed, for sending it my way. And don't forget to enjoy and like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much. Be back with you soon. Got a lot of stuff queued up here.